So I just took my shirt off. We cut the video off just to show a little more of the scap, because I think it's a pretty cool joint to look at. It's kind of hard to tell underneath the shirt. So we were talking about scap positioning under extension or something like that, I think, where we stopped off.
Okay, we don't want to start over, or you just want to go?
Yeah, we could just start over.
Let's just start over.
Okay. We're starting over, no more old video. New 6. Okay, I'll start?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gone over the approach already. We've jumped, we're in the air. We went over all 3 components of hip-shoulder separation. Now we're gonna move up the chain. We're gonna accelerate up the chain and talk a little bit more about what's going on here up. So I'll let you take it away. But actually first, usually I discuss shoulder elbow separation, but Brent brought to my attention the scap is another joint. I was just thinking about the glenohumeral joint right here. The scap is a crucial joint that I do not have much visibility on, and we're gonna learn a bit from him how that is incorporated into the baseball and volleyball overhead throwing movements.
Yeah, and this is so important. So this can get really complicated because this is the end of the movement where things are accelerating very fast, and things you've done wrong going up have gotten really bad now. So just be aware of that. It's so important to learn the beginnings of the movement, because any misdirection of energy, you start overcompensating, and then we see huge error at the top, okay? So that's the thing we start concerning about. It's not just performance, but we start concerning ourselves with injury, because injury now starts to become a problem because the speeds are so high. Remember, 4,000, 7,000 degrees per second we're moving here. So the reason the scap is important to understand, it's the little blade behind you, is because that's what really is supporting the shoulder. It's just floating on your rib cage. The serratus anterior, you see his ribs right here, that's the serratus anterior. There's a muscle there that just grips and pulls the scap forward, which actually makes it lift up. The scap is such a wild physics design. It's a triangle. See the triangle? So how do you move a triangle in rotation? Well, you grab here, which is the levator scap. You grab here, which is the lower trap. And you grab here, which is the serratus anterior, and you pull this way, you pull this way, and you pull that way, and it creates rotation. The thing is,
Am I doing it right now? Is that?
Yeah. Well,
this,
it's like when you go here now, go up with it, right? That's the upward leg rotation and even full rotation of the scap, and then go back down. Okay. So that's really how the scap works. For example, your arm's only built to go to here, as far as the shoulder joint. The glenohumeral joint is only built to go to here. We go up because of what he just did, because the scap now lifts and rotates up. So we're overhand hitters. So if the scap doesn't do that, what happens is the clavicle, the bone right here, you can see the indent. That bone, when he goes above shoulder height, will dig into his rotator cuff, grind around the glenohumeral joint, and just start tearing up all the rotator cuff muscles like the supraspinatus. So if we don't have the ability to upwardly rotate, which is a strong serratus, we're gonna have an injured shoulder joint. So how does it apply to the biomechanics of the movement? Well, we're trying to get to this position. So if you're at home right now, go to where you want to hit the ball. So I want to get to this position, and then 2, how do I want to get there? Do I want to get there rotating to there, or do I want to get there pushing? You're going to go faster if you can rotate to there. So if you're going to rotate, you need an action to create a reaction. So the action is, if I want to go forward, I need to go back first. So to go back.
This is a component in volleyball I don't hear, but people are so reaction focused, and they often don't talk about the action, which is the root cause of that. And I really appreciate how Brent uses that kind of language.
All right, action reaction is super important, because how fast I go forward is how well I load back, right? Just like how well you went up is how well you loaded down, right? How well your hips go, or how well your trunk comes around is how well your hips went forward as your trunk went back. It's all action reaction. That's the cascading of energy going up. So what we want to go back, right? So how do we get there? Well, if the scap is internally rotated forward, which is where everyone gets, even today with the head and the phones, everyone gets here. Now you're in a position, if your scaps don't move back, how far is your arm going to go back? It's not going to go back, and it's going to get injured. So we have to retract and upwardly rotate the scapular joint, so now the arm can freely move to the overhead position. Then from there, we want to roll the upper arm back as we, and 2, why do we trunk extend? It helps us even do this better, right? It positions the scaps better and gets us to be able to go back farther. because then we want to accelerate the arm forward. And that was the question you asked. Where does extension come from? You know what?
How does the arm straighten? A lot of volleyball people think it's tricep, and I think it's a lot different than that.
What it is, it's the energy coming up. So for example, and this is where I'm going to tie baseball and volleyball together. Where does a pitcher's arm extend? Way out here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's right there.
Is it here?
It's there. So but it's forward, right? A pitcher's arm extends forward, and a volleyball's arm extends more up. It's because a pitcher is pushing their arm forward, and a volleyball player is pushing his arm up. So your arm is extending because the kinetic energy is shooting it that way.
Exactly.
Yes, there is tricep activation, but if you're doing it well, it's because the energy you pushed off the ground is throwing your arm up.
It's more like this than
this,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we go
how
back.
I feel it, and I just see people they get the band and they just go like this, and they're like training arm swing speed. I'm like, well, first of all, your hips are the main thing that trains the speed, and then
well, if you were a guy who had a poor jump, poor hip to shoulder, poor trunk extension, you would have to push because you don't have the energy.
Yeah.
But if you did this really well and this really well, all of a sudden this energy is just throwing your arm up.
Right.
And that's what we want. Those are the hard hitters. So if we're here and we're extended and the scaps are upwardly rotated and retracted and the arm's laid back, now the arm can spring forward and spring up with the kinetic energy.
Got it. All right, well, that covers kind of the scap and some of this.
Next is this one.
One big thing I talk about too is the hip comes first, then the shoulder, then the elbow. A lot of people in volleyball, they'll hit, and that elbow will lead the shoulder quite early, and they're not getting into that horizontal abduction.
Okay, so why is that happening?
Chest stretch. I think they're not funneling the power. There's a disconnect there, and then they got to restart the chain from the shoulder.
100%. Or they didn't get enough trunk extension, scapular retraction to keep the arm back. They stayed here. They didn't trunk extend. Now when they turn, their arm pokes out.
Yeah, it pokes out, and I see it with a lot of tennis players. If you're serving a tennis ball, a lot of people go like this, and it usually comes with, honestly, fear of missing typically causes a lot of this, and you really want
You're pushing.
You can't see your arm, like it's behind my eyes. If you're seeing your elbow, it's too far in front.
Because you're killing the action reaction. When we're back here, we know the arm is optimally loaded, so we're gonna get a big spring of energy. If you're here, we know the arm's not optimally loaded, so you're gonna have to force your energy.
Got it. All right, well, I think that concludes.
Well, the last one, like don't forget supination, pronation.
We'll talk about that, but we're just, well, that concludes kind of the scap, shoulder, elbow part, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so next we're gonna go over, like you were saying, what is the forearm doing, right?
Perfect, yeah.
Okay.